podcast as we continue to wrap up fall sports and really great fall season for so many of our teams and athletes. And we're going to be joined this week by some of our all-state athletes, a couple student athletes here. We've got Colin Flood, all-state in boys soccer, Colin a junior, and senior Connor Erlenbach, all-state for football and a state champion. Colin, let's start with you, and just if you can, first let's start with the team. You guys had very much a winning record. I know September wasn't great, but calendar flipped to October, and you guys went on a great winning streak and had a really impactful and exciting state tournament win here on campus against Benedictine, and then had a great game, even though it came up just a little bit short at Cape Henry, who eventually was a state finalist themselves. Can you just talk about this season as a whole? We'll talk about your individual performance in a minute, but just how the team came together and what was the key to, after starting, I think, 0-2-2, and then going on that 7 or 8 game unbeaten streak that led you to a top 8 finish in the state?
Yeah, so we obviously started with some struggles going 0-2-2, lost to Collegiate, St. Chris, tied Blue Ridge, just unfortunate. And we were really resilient. We had a lot of injuries early on, and we had a lot of struggles. Like everyone wasn't a family at the start, and we were all kind of like separated, and everyone had their own ego. But then as the season progressed, like we all came together and kind of created a family. And yeah, and it kind of it correlated to our wins, because as the more we grew with each other, the more we won. So at the end of the season, by the Benedictine game, we were all family. We all wanted to fight for each other, and it really showed in the Cape Henry game too. We went down 2 goals. Scored 2. Unfortunate they won, but I thought we put a great effort forward and improved as the season on as a family.
Yeah, you can really see that family atmosphere just watching the games from our vantage point on the sidelines. And even after the Cape Henry game, you could just tell how gutted everybody was, like just what it meant to them. And in a lot of ways, I think that's what high school sports is all about. And then looking ahead for you as a junior to next year, can you just talk about how motivated you are and what needs to happen to take this program even farther next year?
Yeah, well, I'm extremely motivated. I've lost my freshman year and my junior year to the same school, and I kind of want to put them on the ground next year, and that my whole team can agree. So yeah, I'm really motivated to do better than we ever have here, and I think we're the only fall sport that hasn't won a state championship, so that'd be pretty sweet.
Absolutely. And then, Connor, turning to you, obviously ended in just a dream, almost fairy tale scenario, home field, big rival, thousands of people, win it in overtime in your final high school game. But this season also wasn't all ups. There were some downs as well. Certainly the loss over at St. Christopher's was a tough one for all of us to see. So what was it for you guys that turned it around in about a 4-week period from getting beaten, frankly, pretty decisively on the road over at St. Chris to then just a few weeks later winning the state championship and beating the team that actually beat the Saints?
We just had a kind of a rough season at points. We had a lot of adversity, whether it's injuries, Coach Edwards passing, that loss. But we ended up as a team with like a strong family, and we just stayed resilient and had one goal in mind. Like throughout my 4 years here, and we finally were just able to like crack it, I guess. And it was a rival, and we just wanted to beat them so bad, and we just didn't want to lose. We'd do anything not to lose at that point.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that both you guys bring up that word family. In my many years coaching high school sports, I have always felt like the more a team comes together, the more enjoyable the season is. And usually the results in terms of wins and losses are better as well, but particularly just the day-to-day journey is better when everyone's in it together. Sam, you got questions for these guys?
Yeah, so Connor, being a teammate in your position group this year, I have a couple questions about you. I saw your personal success firsthand, so I really do see how hard you work, even on offensive days when, a lot of the guys are just messing around. You're always working on your technique, but you really did deal with a lot of adversity this year with all obviously the team hardships, with personal hardships, dealing with injuries, constantly having to get treatment, not being like ready to go all week, but not missing any games, if I'm correct. So what was that like? Just getting the process ready to play each and every week.
Well, I just at the end of the day, I just wanted to win, and I just wanted to be out there because I knew I only had so many games left of my football career, and I was willing just to give everything I had, no matter what it took, and I ended up winning.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. Colin, I wanted to ask you from an individual standpoint, it looked to me like you changed positions a little bit this year from where you've been in the past. I feel like your freshman year, you were kind of up top as a striker, often by yourself up there, but this year you were a little more withdrawn in that number 10 role as a creator. I don't have the official stats, but I'm sure you led the team in assists and as well as scored, if not the most goals, top 2, I would think. And so just, can you talk about changing your position and what that entailed and how you enjoyed being in a role that maybe got you on the ball a little bit more?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I kind of played more up top. I pretty much just scored the goals, didn't really do anything else. And then this year, I played in a position where I get the ball more, where I can play with my teammates and honestly just create a better connection and through the midfield with them. And I assisted a lot more goals and created more opportunities. And I felt that dropping back more helped our team because we were able to push up forward more, and we had Quinn up top now, who is also great at finding and scoring goals. So.
Yeah, and credit to you. I mean, I thought your distribution was phenomenal. And having watched you play for several years now, even going back to middle school, I didn't realize what a great distributor you could be. I mean, it really felt like, to use a basketball analogy, you were kind of the point guard out there, very unselfish. And I think the team really had a lot of success from your play. And obviously, you were awarded by being All-State, which is very much deserved, and it's just a blessing that we get to see you play for another year. And then, Bach, one more question I had for you is just one of my indelible memories from the state championship day, and I don't just say the game, that whole day from 2 hours before to an hour plus after was just like I said, felt like a fairy tale. It was just an amazing day to be on this campus. But one of the things I know I'll never forget was when you came back out maybe 30 to 40 minutes after the game, and you just went out to midfield by yourself. I don't think you even knew anyone was watching, but I just happened to catch you kiss that shield. Just what was going through your mind as you went back out there, and why did you feel like you wanted to do that, and just what was the thought process?
Well, I mean, just like so much excitement going through, but it's also just like the fact that it was like my last game, and the school, honestly, going here has meant so much to me, and playing on that football team has been one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And it was just like so many emotions coming out, and I don't know, I just reacted on emotion. I was just excited.
I feel you. I mean, as someone who's, bleeds green and blue and has been part of this community as a student, a teacher, and a coach for pushing 30 years now, I feel that same way. So seeing that pride in the shield, I really enjoyed seeing that from you, and just watching you on the field as well, how hard you played, the block punt, which was a crucial play in the game as well, that really got us some great field position early. So huge credit to both you guys. Sam, you got any more questions for these two fine all-state student athletes before we bring the young ladies on?
I think we got everything we needed to get covered done, so thank you guys a lot for coming on.
Thank you guys
so much. Congratulations. Yeah, stick around. We got a couple of our female all-state athletes coming on next. All right, now we got Griffin Wright has stepped in here for Sam Gorey, and we've got two of our female athletes who earned some individual accolades this year. Junior Lily Jeanette from volleyball, all-LIS performer, and sophomore Logan Snyder from cross-country, all-league and all-state. Lily, we'll start with you. I know it was a challenging position for you this year as a junior, but you really were thrust into a leadership position on a very young team. You guys started off in 3, maybe even 4 freshmen in some games. And we talked about that even back in the early fall when we had you on media days. But now that the season's over, you've had a little time to reflect. Can you just talk about what your role was like in terms of being the best player you could be, fighting through an injury as well, but also being a leader of a young group?
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely not like the season record that we wanted, but the progress we made was really impactful to me because just seeing all these young girls and how they were at the beginning of the season, like watching our film from the very first game and like barely being able to watch, and they would tell you that too, to being able to hold rallies at the end of the season and hang with some of our like bigger opponents. Like we played some teams that, you know, at the beginning of the season beat us by a fair amount, and by the end of the season we were point by point with them for some if not most of the game. So just watching those the younger girls develop not only as players but also just as people, and watching them become friends, and you know, a lot of them are freshmen, so they're new to school, and just seeing them form those friendships was really cool. And also just being friends with the younger girls too, because I know when I was a freshman, like my relationships with the older girls were really important to me.
Absolutely. Logan, for you, you know, I'm not sure as recently as maybe July if you even were sure you were going to run cross country, as you know, I think soccer is your preferred sport. But not only did you go out, join a new team, you were at a new school, and then you end up coming in, what was it, I think 8th in the league meet and something like 17th or so in the state meet. So just what was was it a surprise to you how well you did out there, you know, running, which isn't even your necessarily first love?
A little bit. I mainly just did it to stay like conditioned for soccer, and like everyone has told me like a fall sport is like really important at a new school to meet new people, especially when you're a transfer and you really don't know anyone coming in. So that's like the only reason. I think I found out, Coach Weiler reached out to me in like the end of July, maybe the beginning of August, and she was like, she just wanted me to come. So I tried it out, and I knew I'm not a big fan of running. I don't really enjoy it. So it wasn't that as much, and I was really surprised with how well I like ended the season, but it was more of just like the experiences of like meeting new people. Some of my best friends came out of that team, so it wasn't the running necessarily, it was just like meeting people and the connections. And
That's awesome. And I was going to say, I'm sure people who maybe end up, you know, watching this will be like jealous of you that you don't even really love running, and yet you just are able to go out there and have the natural talent to be so gifted with it. But I also did want to ask you, you kind of alluded to this, but you said, you know, you mostly just did it as a new student to meet some people, and that went really well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Griff? Well, I have a question for both of y'all. Firstly, we had Madeline on the podcast earlier in the year, and she said kind of what you said about the young team being a leader and all this stuff, but she also told us that you struggled with some injuries this year. To say that you were almost like an underdog is an understatement. How did you bounce back from all these? I know you've had a tough couple of injuries. How have you been able to overcome those injuries and then get to this all-league team?
Well, big shout out to Coach Hall, because I was in his room almost every day after school. A lot of treatment. I barely even practiced. I was in some pretty bad pain. There's a span there mid-season where we had 2 weeks in a row where I was 3 games each week, and I was in a sling at school, and then I would go and play. So it was more of I was just trying to fight through it for my team. I wanted to play with these girls, and I knew that it would help them more for me to be on the team as an encouraging person than it is for me to be on the bench. So my mindset was just go out there and do whatever I can do to help. And there was definitely there was one game I know that I told Coach, I was like, it's better for the team if you take me out right now because of the pain I was in.
And a little bit of a spoiler alert, but either later on this pod or another one coming up, we're going to have our podcast crew discuss some of the highlights of the fall across all sports. But I was going to say, one of my finalist nominees for the play of the year period was your play against Stab when you made that diving dig/winner. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not a volleyball expert, but is that something that you were you surprised by that play, or you're like, you know, that's something you can do, no problem?
Well, so I've never been in the position, I've always been an all-around player, hitter mostly, and so I was stepped into a new position this year as libero, And I've made plays like that before, but they're not plays that you see people make on a regular basis. So that was like a very exhilarating play, and I felt like it kind of got the team like pumped up. And yeah, so I mean, it wasn't. I was like, I kind of just like went for it, and I was like, I hope it goes over. It wasn't like, I know this is going over. Like I hope. I was like,
well, for me, I got to see a lot of sports this fall, and that is at a minimum a top 3 play I saw, and I actually need to think about is that my gold medalist, but like really that was unreal. I'll never forget that one for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. That bell means we all got to head back to class, but congratulations on all your individual accolades, and look forward to Logan seeing you out there on the soccer field before we know it, and doing what you're truly passionate about. And really thank you for all your work on TESPN as well as your wonderful play on the court.